Slide 1. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're starting one of the most important topics in ship construction, understanding and reading a ship's shell expansion plan. In this lecture, we'll learn what a shell expansion plan is, why every chief engineer should know how to read it, the ground rules to follow before reading any shell expansion drawing, and finally, we'll learn how to analyze an actual ship's shell expansion plan used by a shipyard. By the end of this series, you'll be able to confidently locate shell plates, identify damaged areas, understand frame numbers, seams, butts, steel grades in structural members, just like a shipyard engineer or classification society surveyor. So, let's begin with the basics. Slide 2. Before learning how to read a shell expansion plan, let's first understand what it actually is. A shell expansion plan is a two-dimensional engineering drawing that represents the ship's three-dimensional shell plating, as if the hull were cut open along the keel and unfolded into a flat surface. Think of it as a world map of the ship's outer shell. Although the Earth is round, the map is flat. A shell expansion plan follows the same principle for a ship's hull. This drawing provides complete information about the outer shell of the vessel. It shows the arrangement of shell plates, their thicknesses, steel grades, frame locations, seams, butt joints, important structural members, and openings, such as hawse pipes and sea chests. For shipbuilders, surveyors, and repair engineers, it serves as the primary structural map of the ship's outer shell. Slide 3. Let's understand why we need to convert a three-dimensional hull into a two-dimensional drawing. A ship's hull has a complex curved shape. If we tried to show every shell plate directly on the actual curved hull, it would be extremely difficult to identify individual plates, locate damage, or prepare repair specifications. Instead, naval architects imagine cutting the shell open along the keel and unfolding it into a flat surface. This creates a shell expansion plan, where every shell plate can be seen clearly without the curvature of the hull hiding any details. This flat representation allows engineers to measure plate dimensions, identify welding joints, determine plate thickness, and accurately locate any structural feature. It is much easier to study, inspect, and repair a flat drawing than to work directly from the curved surface of the ship. Slide 4. The anatomy of a flattened ship. The projection rule. A shell expansion is not a standard orthographic projection. It maps the girth, the curvilinear surface distance, onto a flat plane. The purpose: this specialized unrolling preserves the true surface area and linear boundary dimensions of individual plates, making it a perfectly accurate template for material scheduling and weight calculation. The taper effect. As the hull narrows toward the bow and stern, the girth physically decreases. Consequently, the projected outline of the shell expansion plan dramatically tapers at the ends. Slide 5. Now let's answer an important question. Why should a chief engineer know how to read a shell expansion plan? Although the chief engineer is not responsible for designing the ship's hull, they are responsible for ensuring the ship remains structurally safe during operation. Whenever the vessel experiences grounding, collision, heavy corrosion, shell cracking, or requires steel renewal during dry docking, the chief engineer must communicate accurately with the master, classification society surveyors, superintendents, and the shipyard. Without understanding the shell expansion plan, it becomes difficult to identify the exact location of damage or verify whether repairs are being carried out correctly. A chief engineer should be able to identify shell plates, understand their thickness and steel grade, locate structural members, and confirm that the correct repairs have been completed according to the approved drawings.
Slide 6. Chief engineer will use a shell expansion plan for reporting damage due to grounding, collision, dry docking, hull crack investigation, steel renewal, port state control, class survey, Sea chest renewal. Hawse pipe repair. Slide 7. Now suppose surveyor asks, which plate is damaged? Wrong answer will be near the bow. Correct answer is starboard shell plate between frames 228 to 230, approximately 18.6 to 21.0 meters ABBL, or Strake K, in way of the hawse pipe. Slide 8. Before we start reading any shell expansion drawing, there are some important ground rules. The first and most important rule is: first, find the frame numbers. Frame numbers generally start at aft perpendicular, which is marked 0. Aft of aft perpendicular are marked with negative numbers, and forward of aft perpendicular are marked positive. Here, on actual shell expansion plan cropped picture, we can see how 0, negative, and positive frames are numbered. Slide 10. Navigating landmarks, steelers, and coffins. Steeler plates. Because hull girth decreases dramatically at the extreme bow and stern, continuing every strake would result in impossibly narrow slivers of steel. A steeler plate merges two strakes into one. Rule: it always takes the alphanumeric name of the lower strake. Coffin plates. A highly specialized 3D formed plate located at the stern. It joins two vertical side plates directly over the flat keel, transitioning the flat bottom into the vertical stern frame.
Slide 11. The Strake system. The baseline, the absolute bottom datum line of the ship. All vertical elevation is measured from this floor. Strakes, continuous longitudinal runs of welded steel plates stretching from the stem to the stern. The stacking order. Starting exactly at the center line, keel, strakes move outward and upward along the hull. They provide the fundamental vertical coordinate for any specific point on the ship's skin. Slide 12. Pinpointing the plate coordinate. The alphanumeric address. Every single plate on the ship has a unique, permanent identifier. Letters. Vertical elevation. Strakes are lettered alphabetically. Strake A, garboard, sits adjacent to the keel. The lettering progresses up the turn of the bilge to J, the uppermost shear strake. Numbers. Longitudinal position. Within any given strake, the individual plates are numbered sequentially starting from the aft and moving forward. E14 is simply the 14th plate forward in the 5th row up. Slide 13. Scantling marks. The material map. The shell expansion doesn't just tell you where a plate is, it tells you exactly what it is. Thickness, scantlings. Raw numerical values typically denote plate thickness in millimeters. Steel grades. Alphanumeric codes such as AH36, DH32 dictate the required metallurgical strength in heat treatment. Transition boundaries. Changes in thickness are clearly demarcated by specific dashed boundary lines, acting like elevation contours on a topographical map. Slide 14. Seams and butts. Seams, horizontal joints. Orientation, longitudinal, runs the ship's length. Function, connects adjacent horizontal strakes, rows of plates. Design, forms a long continuous weld line. Butts, vertical joints. Orientation, transverse, perpendicular to seams. Function, connects the short ends of individual plates. Design, always staggered between rows. Purpose, prevents continuous stress lines that tear hulls. Interesting fact, the common phrase "ship shape and in good fashion" originally described a hull with perfectly aligned seams and correctly staggered butts, signifying a highly durable, seaworthy vessel. Slide 15. Here we can see butts and seams marked on the actual ship shell expansion plan. Slide 16. Have a look at the location, function, and material of keel plate, garboard, bilge, and shear strakes. Slide 17. On this slide, we can see how to precisely identify the location of a damaged plate using a ship's shell expansion plan. The vertical rows are categorized by strakes, which are labeled here using the letters A through N starting from the bottom. Note that letters like I and O are intentionally omitted to avoid confusion with the numbers 1 and 0. At the very bottom, we establish our reference point at the baseline, which represents the top of the keel plate. The lowest hull strake directly adjacent to the keel is the garboard strake, labeled as strake A. Moving further up the curve of the hull, we find the bilge strake, and at the topmost edge near the upper deck, we locate the shear strake. By cross-referencing this grid, we can accurately pinpoint a specific damaged area, which is highlighted in yellow. According to the plan, this specific damage is located between frame numbers 116 and 119, right along strake K. The plan also provides vital material details for the repair team, showing that this plate has a thickness of 15 millimeters and is constructed from NV36 grade steel. Before we continue, if you're finding this lecture helpful and you're serious about preparing for your MEO Class 1 oral examination, I'd like to ask you for a small favor. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell. This channel is dedicated to providing 100% technically accurate, easy-to-understand marine engineering lectures verified with IMO regulations, classification society requirements, and real shipyard practices. By subscribing, you won't miss any part of this complete learning series, and you'll always be notified whenever a new lecture is uploaded. Your support also motivates me to continue creating high-quality educational content for the marine engineering community. Now let's continue with the most interesting part of this lecture and start understanding how professional engineers read a ship's shell expansion plan.
Slide 18. Note: the use of letter designations A, B, C, etc. for strakes is frequently omitted or replaced in modern engineering drawings. CAD and automated block construction. Historically, ships were built plate by plate from the keel upward. Today, ships are built using modular blocks, mega-modules, pre-assembled in workshops. Computer-aided design (CAD) software tracks plates by their precise 3D spatial coordinates, for example, frame X, height Y, rather than manual alphabetical labels. Complex hull geometries. On modern, highly optimized hull forms, like large container ships or cruise liners, strakes do not run in clean, continuous horizontal rows from bow to stern. Strakes often twist, merge, stealer plates, or terminate abruptly. Assigning a rigid strake C or strake D across the entire ship becomes confusing, whereas ABBL, above baseline, heights, and OCLF, off centerline, remain perfectly constant. Slide 19. Now that we understand the baseline, let's learn what ABBL, or above baseline, actually means. ABBL represents the vertical distance of any point or structural member measured upward from the ship's baseline. If the drawing indicates upper deck 17500 ABBL, it means the upper deck is 17.5 meters above the baseline. One important point to remember is that ABBL does not tell us the height above sea level. It only tells us the height above the ship's design reference line, the baseline. In modern shell expansion drawings, you will frequently find values such as 5550 ABBL, 8000 ABBL, 10600 ABBL, 13500 ABBL, 17500 ABBL. These values represent important structural levels, including the tank top, stringers, and deck. Whenever you read an ABBL value, simply ask yourself one question: how high is this point above the ship's baseline? That's exactly what ABBL tells you. Slide 21. Now let's move to another important coordinate, OFCL, which stands for off centerline. If ABBL tells us the vertical position, then OFCL tells us the transverse position, or how far a point is from the ship's centerline. The centerline, or CL, is an imaginary vertical plane passing through the middle of the ship from bow to stern, dividing the vessel into the port and starboard halves. Whenever a drawing shows 5600 OFCL, it means the structural member is located 5,600 millimeters away from the ship's centerline. Similarly, if you see 8800 OFCL, it indicates that the structure is 8.8 meters from the centerline. OFCL is commonly used to locate girders, longitudinals, shell edges, sea chests, and many other structural members whose position is measured sideways rather than vertically. So remember this simple comparison. ABBL answers the question, how high? OFCL answers the question, how far from the centerline? These two coordinates, together with the frame number, allow us to locate any point on the ship accurately. Slide 21. Now let's combine everything we've learned and understand it on the actual shell expansion plan. Every location on a ship can be identified using 3 reference coordinates. The first coordinate is the frame number, which tells us the position along the ship's length. The second coordinate is ABBL, which tells us the height above the baseline. The third coordinate is OFCL, which tells us the sideways distance from the centerline. This is the language spoken by shipyards, classification society surveyors, naval architects, and repair engineers all over the world. Once you understand these 3 coordinates, you can confidently locate any shell plate or structural member on a ship. Slide 22. To accurately pinpoint whole structural issues, surveyors utilize the ship's shell expansion plan. This standard technical drawing lays out the vessel's curved hull plating as a flat, 2-dimensional surface. Locating a specific area requires cross-referencing 3 crucial coordinates. First, we identify the forward to aft position using the frame numbers along the top axis. For this particular assessment, the target area falls precisely between frame 122 and frame 120. Second, we establish the vertical height. This is measured relative to the baseline, indicated here by the stringer elevations. The damaged section sits vertically between 13.5 meters and 10.6 meters above the baseline. By intersecting these exact longitudinal and vertical boundaries, the damaged plate is cleanly isolated on the grid. This precise location mapping ensures that repair crews can directly target the correct hull section for steel replacement or reinforcement. Moving to the next section of the hull assessment, we examine a separate region of the shell expansion plan to isolate another area of concern. Longitudinally, the affected zone spans across 3 frame spaces, specifically from frame 119 to frame 122. This establishes our primary horizontal reference points on the grid. Transversely, the location is measured by its distance from the centerline. The damage is bounded between 8.8 meters and 5.6 meters off the centerline, placing it directly between these 2 structural longitudinal girders. By pinpointing this specific coordinates intersection, we isolate the exact plate requiring attention. Engineering data confirms this is a heavy-duty, 22 mm thick steel plate constructed from high-tensile NV32 grade material, providing repair crews with precise specifications for the necessary steel replacement. If you enjoyed this lecture and learned something new today, please like this video, share it with your fellow marine engineers, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You definitely don't want to miss that lecture, because that's where everything you've learned today will come together in a real-world example. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.